Growing old in America has become a financial tightrope walk where one stumble means sleeping in your car at 70, and the real kicker is that the system was designed this way on purpose. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement in 2026. A 72-year-old woman in Ohio just lost her apartment, not because she stopped working, not because she was reckless with money. She lost it because her rent went up $300 in 1 year and her Social Security check didn't. She's now sleeping in a Honda Civic in a Walmart parking lot. And she's not alone. There are roughly 58,000 Americans over the age of 50 experiencing homelessness right now. That number has doubled since 2007. You worked 40 years. You saved what you could. And now you're one medical bill away from living in your car. So here's what I'm going to explain. How we went from a retirement system that actually worked to one that's basically a game of musical chairs where half the chairs have been removed and the music never stops, and why the people running the game want it exactly this way. Let me give you the central metaphor that explains everything. Think of retirement security like a three-legged stool. You've heard this before, right? The three legs were Social Security, your pension from work, and your personal savings. That stool used to hold your weight. But here's what happened. They didn't just shorten one leg, they sawed off two of them completely and then acted surprised when everyone fell over. First leg, pensions. In 1980, 60% of private sector workers had a defined benefit pension. You work 30 years, you get a check every month until you die. Simple. By 2020, that number dropped to 12%. 12. They didn't phase out pensions because they stopped working. They phased them out because they worked too well for us and cost too much for them. A company with pension obligations has to actually set aside real money. A company with a 401k just has to let you gamble your own money in the stock market and then shrug when the S&P 500 tanks the year you need to retire. The incentive structure changed. Wall Street wanted that pension money in play, and corporations wanted those liabilities off their books. Second leg, personal savings. The median retirement account balance for Americans aged 55 to 64 is $71,000. You know what $71,000 gets you in retirement? About 3 years of basic expenses if you're lucky and nothing goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. The average American will spend $157,000 on out-of-pocket healthcare costs in retirement. Just healthcare. Not food, not rent, not the utility bill that keeps going up every winter. You're supposed to save your way out of this, but wages have been stagnant since the 70s, while housing costs tripled and healthcare costs quintupled. You can't save money you never had. Which brings us to the last leg still standing, Social Security. The average Social Security check in 2026 is about $1,900 a month. Now let's do some math here. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in America is about $1,600. You're already at negative $700 before you've eaten anything, before the electric bill, before the phone bill. You need to call your doctor. You're underwater on day one. But here's where it gets really interesting. That Social Security check, it's taxed. Yeah. You paid into Social Security your whole life with after-tax dollars, and now they tax it again when you take it out. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be federally taxed, depending on your other income. It's like paying for a sandwich, eating half of it, and then the restaurant charging you again for the privilege of finishing what you already bought. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, just not for you. Now you might be thinking, okay, but people just need to plan better, work longer, save more. Let me introduce you to Margaret, real person, not her real name. 74 years old, worked as a school secretary for 38 years, never made more than $42,000 a year, saved what she could. Put away about $90,000 in a 401k, retired at 67 like she was supposed to. Her husband died 2 years later. His pension died with him because it wasn't set up for survivor benefits. She's living on Social Security now, $1,500 a month. Her rent just went from $1,100 to $1,450. Her Medicare supplement is $380 a month. Her prescription drugs, even with Part D coverage, are another $200. She's negative $530 a month before she's bought groceries. She's eating one meal a day, and she's considering moving into her daughter's basement 3 states away, which means leaving the only community she's ever known. Margaret did everything right. The system still failed her. Here's the part that should make you furious. The incentive structure is designed to extract wealth from you at every stage. When you're young, they keep your wages low enough that you can't save. When you're middle-aged, they sell you the 401k as a replacement for the pension they took away. Then they charge you fees on every transaction, every rebalance, every breath your money takes in that account. The average 401k charges 1% in fees annually. Doesn't sound like much until you realize that 1% fee over 40 years will eat approximately 30% of your total returns. 30% of your retirement just vanished into management fees. When you're old, they tax your Social Security, jack up your rent because they know you can't move easily, and charge you $70,000 for a hip replacement because what are you going to do? Not get it? Every single point in this chain, someone is making money off your decline. Let me tell you what's happening in my town right now. Tourist town near Lake Michigan. Not cheap, not Manhattan, somewhere in between. They're building 4 massive apartment complexes. 3 stories, 4 stories, packed in tight. You know why? Because people in their 60s and 70s can't afford to buy houses anymore, and the landlords know it. These aren't luxury apartments. These are affordable housing complexes where affordable means $1,600 to $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. The city council approved them because it looks like they're solving the housing crisis. But here's the reality. You're moving people from homes they owned or affordable rentals into expensive new builds where the rent can increase every single year with no protection. It's just a more efficient way to extract money from a captive population. And the cops? They sweep the homeless camps in the woods every few months. Not because they're solving homelessness, because visible poverty is bad for tourism. The cruelty is the point, but the profit is the purpose. Here's escalation number 3. Healthcare costs are specifically designed to bankrupt you right when you're most vulnerable. Medicare covers 80% of Part B costs. Sounds good until you realize what's in that other 20%. A single hospital stay can still cost you $8,000 out of pocket, even with Medicare. A cancer diagnosis, you're looking at $20,000 to $50,000 in out-of-pocket costs per year. And here's the kicker. Medicare doesn't cover long-term care. You know, the thing you're most likely to need when you're old. A nursing home costs about $9,000 a month on average. Medicare pays $0. Medicaid will cover it, but only after you've spent down every asset you have until you're destitute. You have to become poor to get help being poor. The incentive? Make sure you extract every dollar from a person before the government has to step in. And it's getting worse. In 2025, Medicare started negotiating drug prices for the first time ever. Sounds great, right? Except they're only negotiating 10 drugs. 10 out of thousands. And the pharmaceutical companies are already gaming the system by releasing new versions of old drugs right before the negotiation kicks in, so they can reset the patent clock and charge whatever they want. The system isn't designed to help you. It's designed to look like it's helping you while continuing to extract maximum profit. Now here's where the psychological shift happens. 3 generations ago, retirement was a reward. You worked, you got a pension, you had Social Security as a safety net, and you lived a modest but secure life. 2 generations ago, retirement became a personal responsibility. You had to save, invest, plan. If you failed, it was your fault. This generation, retirement is becoming a luxury good that only the wealthy can afford. The middle class is being systematically eliminated from the possibility of a dignified retirement. And the message you're getting from media, from politicians, from financial advisors is the same. You should have saved more. You should have invested better. You should have planned ahead. But the math doesn't math. If wages haven't kept pace with inflation for 50 years, if housing costs have tripled, if healthcare costs have quintupled, if pensions have been eliminated, if 401k fees eat 30% of your returns, And if Social Security barely covers rent, then how exactly were you supposed to save your way out of this? You weren't. The system is designed to fail you and then blame you for the failure. Here's the comedic absurdity of it all. Financial advisors will tell you that you need $1 million saved to retire comfortably. 1 million. The median household has saved 71,000. That means the average American is about 93% short of what they need. But sure, just cut out the avocado toast for 40 years and you'll be fine. Or here's another good one. They'll tell you to just work until you're 70 or 75. Delay Social Security to get a bigger check. Great advice, except for one tiny problem. 40% of Americans are forced into retirement earlier than planned due to health issues or job loss. You can't work until 70 if your body gives out at 68 or your company lays you off at 66 and no one will hire you because you're overqualified, which is corporate speak for too, old. So what do you actually do? Because I'm not going to leave you with nothing but rage. First, if you're still working, weaponize every tax-advantaged account you can. 401k, IRA, HSA, if you're eligible. Not because the system is fair, but because it's the only legal way to claw back some of what they're taking from you. Max out matches if your company offers them. That's free money, and you're going to need every dollar. Second, if you're already retired or close to it, get ruthlessly honest about your housing costs. If you're spending more than 30% of your income on rent or mortgage, you need to move or downsize or find a roommate. I know that sounds degrading at 70, but pride doesn't keep you fed. Run the numbers cold and make the hard decision now, before the decision gets made for you by an eviction notice. Third, find the loopholes they don't advertise. Medicare savings programs can help pay your Medicare premiums if you're low income. SNAP benefits, food stamps are available to seniors, and the average benefit is about $190 a month. That's real money. Property tax exemptions for seniors exist in most states. Call your county assessor. These programs exist because they had to throw us something to keep the system from completely imploding, but they don't advertise them because they don't want you to use them. Make them pay up. Look, growing old in America is becoming a nightmare because the people who design this system profit from your fear and your failure. They took your pensions, they turned your retirement into a stock market casino. They tax you coming and going, and then they blame you for not saving enough on wages that never kept up. The stool doesn't have 3 legs anymore. You're balancing on one, and they're shaking it.